and what's this week's Devil the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson, and I'm here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Join me in the show after a few weeks absent is Paul Whiteside. How have you been, mate?
Yeah, all right, mate. Not too bad. Busy in personal life, busy in work life, but I'm all right. I'm doing okay, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Obviously, school holidays coming up now, so preparing things to keeping the kids occupied through the summer holidays is a tough task. Doing my bit, but obviously, we have to let the wife do most of it because she's better than me at it.
That's it. Well, you just reminded me there. My kids break up this Friday as well, and I've got a day off each week of the summer holidays, one day. So I've got a day off. I think I'm off next Tuesday. So I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but we're doing something. I know we got a light swimming baths one day. We've booked that because there's a slide there and all that. But I'm not going in. I think I'll just have a brew and watch. but no, we'll have a few days out or whatever. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Also joining us, we have Paul Parkin, fresh from Lorette de Mar. How did it treat you, Parker?
Yeah, it was good. It was okay. Very hot. Very, very hot. It was a good trip. See a lot of friendly faces and some that I haven't seen for a while. So yeah, it was a good trip all round. Besides the 80 minutes of rugby, which got in the way a little bit. But yeah, no, it was a good trip. Lots of Salford fans there. Lots more than I think I've probably seen in Catalan before. It was quite frightening actually. Probably more so for the French than us. But yeah, no, we had a great time. Nice to see some sunshine for a change. But then you come back to reality, come back to a leaking boiler and a blocked drain. So, yeah, back to earth with a bang, and obviously with the rain. But yeah, no, it was a great trip. Great to see everyone. I know a few of them are still out there at the moment. And yeah, there's some stories. There's some stories, but I'll probably keep them for my memoirs, I think. Keep the innocent out of it. But yeah, no, it was a great trip. And I just wanted, before we go on, I just want to say about all the Salford fans how brilliantly behaved they were. Big numbers turned up. Obviously, a lot of drinking and dancing and everything else, but absolutely no bother. Perfect weekend or week away. And, I hope to see all them faces there on Friday night.
Yeah, like you say, stories that happen, but stories that can't be broadcast on the podcast.
Yeah, there's certainly one or two and certain information that I've learned over the last few days. I thought I'd heard it all, to be honest, but people keep surprising me. But I had a few good days. There was one afternoon there, I think it was Thursday or Friday. Friday it was a bit cloudy, so we sat in a bar and the group of us got talking about the old days, about the old away days and that sort of thing. And it was, I was in tears laughing, memories that were coming back. So it was brilliant in that way. Because you get to see people that you're not seeing for a long time. When you're all together, it was it was good. So a great trip all round, and hopefully we can get it in July next year.
Yeah, looking forward to this podcast. Been a while, Paul, since all three of us have been on at the same time. So I'll just do the introductions. Parky, Paul Parky, in case you're forgetting who's who, Paul.
No, I've not been away that long, Rob. Not been away that long.
So, lots to go at. Missed a week last week, didn't we? So we'll look back at all the games that have been played in our absence, all the big news coming out this week, and the previews of the games this weekend. So we'll start with the games that have been played. So we'll start with our victory against Hull FC at the Salford Community Stadium. Salford beat Hull 22 points to 20. Paul, obviously it was a week ago, but in my opinion, we found a way to win. If you want to be in a playoff team, if you want to be competing at the top, there will be games that you have to niggle to get through, and we did.
Yeah, they certainly did in that game. I thought Hull were the better side for the majority of it. They scored 4 tries. They played some good stuff. They surprised me how organised they were. They'd improved a lot. They were solid. They defended really well, and I don't think they're a million miles off now, are they? They're sort of improving, and I thought we were a bit flat at times. But sometimes you've got to give the opposition credit. They played well, so you've got to find a way around that and find a way to win, and we did. in the end. So wasn't too disappointed, because I think when you get to a certain stage in the season, especially now when we've got that 4-point cushion above 7th place, it's about winning games. Don't matter what score you're winning by. If you want to finish in that top 6, you've got to win matches. And if you look at our record this season, you know, if things had gone the other way, we could be down at the bottom because we won that many matches by one score. You know, the odd points here and there. You know, we could be like Castleford, you know, like down in the position of them. So I think, yeah, we've rode our luck a little bit this season, but there's been games where we've not had the luck, and we should have won at Leeds, shouldn't we? And you know, we should have won at Castle. We should have won that Wigan game at home. So I think we rode our luck in that game, and we probably just about edged it. But you know, all played pretty well.
Yeah, Parky, we missed Tim Laffey, Nenny McDonald as well. Obviously, the have X factor, but also the meters. You know, they didn't quite burst Hull on the edges. Probably losing 200 meters maybe in the totals makes an impact on it.
Yeah, definitely. And that was what I was going to say. Without them two, it's a huge challenge for us. Certainly bringing the ball out of backfield. Those meters they make in them first 2 or 3 tackles are huge for us. They get us out of a really tight spot every single week. And without them, and I'm not discrediting any of the other lads in the team, but then they don't have that same impact. You know, I mean, the big lads are tricky to tackle, big strong guys, and also the pace of McDonald as well is a key that we lack. We're not the quickest team, so without them two, it was always going to be difficult. When I saw the squad, I said to a lot of people, I said this could be banana skin. It really could, because Hull were getting better. Well, are getting better. They're getting a few players in, and I must say, a couple of their young lads really stood out. They've got some real talent coming through at Hull at the moment. So, you know, things for them to look forward to in the future. But for us, it was about winning. That's all it is at the end of the day. We've said it all year. You know, we played London twice and we weren't overly convincing either time. But for me, that's kind of irrelevant. If you keep winning, that's all that counts. It doesn't matter if you win by 1 or 100. We want to win by more. Of course we do. You look at the points difference. That could be crucial come the end of the year. If we're in the 6 or not, it's that tight at the moment. But you've still got to win. No point trying to play champagne rugby and score 20 tries a game if it's going to cost you. There's no point. Just win the game and worry about it from there. What I will say was, though, I think no matter, I know it got very close, but I never felt that we weren't going to win. I don't know why. I think it's because of what Paul was saying there about how we've been this year, the way we've edged games. We've always been in it, and we just seem to come out the other side. If it's a close game, even you look at the Saints game. I mean, well, twice. So if you can do it to Saints, you can do it to anyone. Simple as that. And I thought against Hull it was a bit attritional, and there was a lot of errors and a drop ball, and the players looked a little bit tired. I'll say that for both teams. It's that middle of the season when it gets tricky, and neither of us have got big depth in squad. They've had quite a few injuries and suspensions this year, and obviously we know our problems. So I think it just tells after a while, and we took the 2 main strike players out of our team. So I think we did really well just to get over the line. And like I say, that's all that really matters. Get them 2 points. If we finish in the top 6 with a negative points difference, I'm really not bothered. It means nothing when you come to the playoffs. So, let's just keep winning.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of character for me, Paul, that, you get into these games, becomes an arm wrestle, like Parker says, a war of attrition, and we're on the right side of it. And that's a positive thing going forward. Historically, not quite happens that way, but this team under Paul Rowley have found a way to win them games, which is important when you're going into to battle to get to a playoffs. There will be games in the season that you might win where you don't deserve to win, or there might be games where you have to roll your sleeves up and put in a grafting performance too. And I feel that was one against Hull FC. We'll look back at the season at the end and we'll finish where we'll finish. If we do end up in the playoffs, Hull might be one of them games you think, yeah, we have to grind to get that one. 2 points got us over the line.
Yeah, I think it's like losing, isn't it? Winning's an habit. If you're down at the bottom of the table, you're getting beat every week. You sort of beat before you go out sometimes, aren't you? Whereas if you're winning games by close margins, you sort of trust each other. You're trusting your teammate and your colleague to do something good, and you sort of believe in yourselves that you're going to get the result, come hell or high water. And I think that's what we've been like this season. We believe that we can win, and we've pulled some results out of the fire, haven't we? And yeah, Laffey and McDonald are massive misses, because with them as well, like you said about the meters, not only the meters though, a lot of the times when Laffey and McDonald get tackled, It's taking 3 or 4 defenders to tackle them, and it opens up gaps for other people to play off the back of that. So, you know, having Stoney there and Watkins in the centre, whereas the good players, they've not got that sort of guile that them two have got. So that's a big miss for us. And I think if you take out the other players we've got missing as well, like Jack Armright's been out injured, and you know Brierly's been out, he's just come back. You take those sort of players out, you take 2-star centres out of Wigan's team, that they'd struggle. But you take them out of our team where we've not got a squad to pick from. I mean, I was thinking the other day that the squad at the moment for Salford, or the last 6 weeks or so, has picked itself, that 21-man squad. It's sort of, here's the 21-man squad 2 days before the game, and it's the 21 players we've got available. There's nobody else, really. So I think we're doing really, really well. So, yeah, I was pleased with that whole game just to get the win. I was happy when the U2 went, really.
Yeah. So we were happy about that win. Went to France. Parker, you went to France. Enjoyed your time there. Didn't quite enjoy the defeat though. 20 points to 0.
No, there's not many positives to come out of that. I don't think the game itself was poor. I thought both teams were poor. I know Paul Rowley said it in his press conference after we were saying at the game. Neither team looked like a playoff team on Saturday. I mean, one thing you do have to add in is the conditions. You don't realise until you're there how hot it actually was. You know, it was a warm evening. I think when we were travelling from Spain to France, it was still in, you know, like 30 degrees or something then. So by kick-off, it might have been, you know, late 20s. You're not used to that. We're definitely not used to it. You've got players missing, players who probably aren't fully fit. You're going to struggle a little bit. The problem was we didn't start well. And I said to everybody during the week, I said, you'll tell how we're going to do by the start. And we weren't switched on enough to start the game. And it kind of carried on from there. The only thing I will say is we didn't give up. The effort was there. There was no play. I wouldn't look at any player and go, he was awful or he was this or he was, it wasn't like that. It was one of them days that you have. It was an off day. They weren't brilliant. They got the bounce of the ball a little bit more. They turned us around a lot in the first half with a really good kicking game. Farge was outstanding with the boot. And we weren't clever. But again, without McDonald and Laffey, we weren't making them meters to get into good attacking positions, certainly in the first half. And that drains you. You know, you're doing a lot of defence. We give a lot of penalties away, a lot of restarts. And I think by half time, 18-0, it would have took a miracle to come back into it. Shame we didn't score. We had plenty of chances, but we just didn't look. I think Paul Rowley used the word connected, and I think that's probably the right word. We looked a little bit bitty, a little bit individual, sort of too many players trying things for themselves. Very unlike us, very much. We talk about what we were like against Hull. You know, a better team performance got us through that and got us the 2 points. But I'm not downhearted. People at the end of the game some of them seem to be a bit frustrated. It happens in a season. You get that. It's not like we've been beaten by 40. I know 20 points to 0 doesn't look great, but it could have easily ended up a draw that game. It was that sort of match. We weren't that far off where they were. So taking the conditions, the players we had missing, and we just didn't perform on the day. And that's the result you're going to get. But we have to march on to next week now.
Yeah, I've got to echo what Parky said there, Paul. Didn't look like really cohesion. There wasn't much to him. Ball didn't stick. And obviously, Catalan had a mad 10 minutes, scored a couple of tries. And it's like we talked about fatigue, didn't we? You mentioned about, the squad being the same for the last, few weeks. That's going to bite the players in it going forward, and luckily we're looking to bring in extra bodies, which is fantastic, which might sort of help the performances sort of going forward.
Well, yeah, I think it's well documented. I mean, I don't know about Cassie's squad and London's squad in numbers compared to ours, but we've got one of the smallest squads in the league, really. And we've had quite a few players out. I'm not making excuses, by the way, but I think Catalan is a tough trip for anybody. I think it's a tough trip for any team. You look at their stats the last sort of decade or so. People have won a lot of home games because it's difficult for teams to go over there because they're not used to those conditions, not playing them all the time. And yeah, there's a bit of fatigue there as well, but we didn't capitulate. It was losing 18-0 at half time, and we conceded 2 points in that second half in the red hot weather. So, I mean, you've got to give the lads a bit of credit there. I think they dug in. Yeah, we never looked like scoring, but you're going to get games like that. You know, sometimes passes stick and things come off. Sometimes they don't. In that game, they didn't. A lot of things was mistimed. You know, not a lot came off Mark Sneed. It just didn't seem to click. You know, the Sneed and Atkin partnership didn't seem to click in that game. And you'll get games like that. So I don't think you've got to write the season off. But we got beat there 42-0 last season. And we still almost got in the playoffs. So, I mean, it's a bit of a bad stat, that, really. Two seasons without scoring a point over there. But that's a disappointing thing, I think. I felt sorry for the supporters who made the trip. You know, when you go anywhere away from home and you get nilled, it's a difficult one to swallow, isn't it? Because you need something to cheer, really, and you know, disappointing that. But no, I wasn't too despondent about it. I mean, it's a defeat, but we've done the spade work and won 4 games on the bounce before that, so that allows us a bit of a cushion. We've got a 4-point cushion over Leeds, so at the moment, you know, we're doing all right. So we've got big games coming up now, like we said, Casson as the next home game, and we've got this Huddersfield game. These are winnable matches now. We've still got some tough games coming up away from home, you know, like Wigan, and that we've got the Saints again, haven't we, as well, and OKR and what have you. But there's games at home that we can win. So at the moment, we're still in the driving seat.
Yeah, the momentum, Parky, that's what it is. Obviously, like Paul said, your 4 wins on the spin. You go away to Catalan. I suppose you can't afford to lose that one. I know Leeds are 4 behind us. So that's 2 wins where they win and we don't, and they catch us. But that's what playoff football's all about. It's you know, it's knockout football, really. You need to keep winning to keep going forward and avoid the chasing pack.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the problem was with Saturday, and I know I mentioned it earlier, is the points difference. You know, took 20 points off, we're now in a minus, and Leeds have got a better points difference, I think, just than us. So if they do pick up those 2 wins and we lose 2, it becomes tricky. The thing is, I looked at the fixtures a few weeks back. We had Warrington away, Saints at home. 2 games at the start of the year. I'd have said, no, you write them off. They're not winnable. Not really. And then you've got Hull. Yeah, okay. Hull at home, fine. Catalan, like Paul's just said, always a bad place to go. Always a tricky place. But then you've got Huddersfield, Castleford, and then Leeds. I think that's the next few things. All winnable. If we win 2 out of the next 3, I think, but certainly if we win and won all 3 and taking an extra 2 points away from Leeds, I think that probably means we're in the top 6. I really do. And this is the period now that we need to concentrate on. Last week, yeah, it's a blip. We didn't want to lose. You want to carry on that run of winning. It's, you know, it's a fact, like Paul said, it's a great habit, you know, to be in. It sort of knocks itself on, and I don't think this team has lost any belief in itself. I think the confidence is there. I think they've got that mentality of the coach where we'll go and beat anyone wherever we want. So it's a blip in the season, but we've got a lot to look forward to in the next few weeks now. And if we can come through this, get the bodies back on the park, I think by the time you come to them last 4 or 5 games, you might be able to relax a little bit. But there's going to be a spell where certain players are going to have to be rested due to these new rules. So if we can get ahead now, open that gap up to 6-8 points over Leeds, I think we'll be safe in there, and nobody's worrying about what happened in Catalan halfway through the season. So yeah, it's a blip. The players knew that, but they look drained, they look tired at the end of the game. They've done it, you know, they're travelling as well, the preparation, everything's different, isn't it, when you go there? I know it sounds like you're making excuses, I'm not, but you know, at the end of the day, there are other things you've got to look at. It's not just that 80 minutes on the park. So yeah, for me, I'm still full of praise for the lads, full of confidence, and again, I just want to reiterate that the fans were outstanding on Saturday, absolutely outstanding. Just certainly that second half, just didn't stop singing. Got behind the boys. You know, you're 18-0 down. It's easy to get a glum and think it's cost me a few £100 this, you know. But there was none of that. It's a celebration. It's a bit of a party. We're all away together, and I thought our fans were outstanding, and I think the players appreciated it as well. So, but we just move on now and concentrate on the next few games.
Yeah, looking at the stats, Paul, total meters made. Catalan 1,298, Salford 964. Meters in contact, Catalan 591, Salford 443. Tackle burst for Catalan 49, Salford 27.
Yeah, I think that first stat sort of tells you really that it was one in their pack, wasn't it? Really, they're a big pack of forwards, steamrolled us really. And yeah, it's a difficult, like we've said, it's a difficult place to go. It's difficult for every team going over there. And I'm not saying teams sort of write it off when they go there, but I think there can be that sort of let's just get through it, mentality. Let's just get through that game and without getting loads of injuries. And I'm not saying the lads did that, but I think perhaps that plays on your mind sometimes. We only came out of that game with Logan Lewis, I think, who's failed his HIA, hasn't he? Everybody else is pretty fit and going to be okay. So it could have been worse. We could have gone there and lost 28-24 and got a lot of injuries and had a bit of a nightmare, couldn't we? So yeah, but I saw those stats on the television and yeah, you could see it was a bit like the game at Salford last season, the last game of the season when we played Catalan. And it was the same then. Their pack, when they get on top here, they can steamroll you.
Yeah. Parky, tackles made, Catalan 292, Salford 350. Completion rate, Catalan 60, Salford 84. Errors 19 for Catalan, 9 for Salford. And missed tackles 27 for Catalan, 49 for us.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we did far too much defending for the conditions. You just don't want to be doing that in that. But a lot of it was our own fault. With our own making. You mentioned the missed tackles, 49. Did you say?
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's nowhere near good enough Super League. But the interesting thing there was the completion rate, by the way. That I think by half time it was probably the other way around. For the second half, they did drop a lot of ball, but it was forced. Our defence was keen. It was on them all the time, and we did control the ball quite well. We just didn't have anything at the end of sets to do anything with. We looked a little bit lost at times. And one of the big things was the meters, again, going back to that. I mean, Satai came on for them, Chris Satai, and he was devastating. Every time he got the ball, he was either knocking one of our players on the backside or taking 3 or 4 players with him. And that's, again, going back to the McDonald and Laffey thing, that's their kind of job, if you like. That's where they would have got us out of that. And I'm not saying we'd have won the game, but it could have been a very, very different game with players like that in the team. We don't have that bulk. We don't have them players that do that. It's obviously something that Rowles will look at, and if we can address it, we will. But who's out there that you can do that with? They do have a really big pack, and in that heat, they'll drain you. And I thought at half time, I thought this could get away from us because the heat will have drained us. Their big forwards will keep rolling on. By the end of the last 10-15 minutes, we might have nothing left. Didn't turn out that way, but yeah, them sort of tackle stats. We did too many tackles and we missed too many tackles. You do that in a Super League game, you can play Catalan or you can play London. You'll probably end up getting beat.
Yeah, but like you boys have said, it's a difficult place to go. If we were going to lose one, you'd probably want that one. We'd all have a good day out. Players out of the way. It's out of the way. You can kick on from here, which is what it's all about. Talking about the players, individual stats. Top meter makers: Briley with 101, Dion Cross 94, Sam Stone 74, Shane Wright 88, King V 57, Mark Sneed 54, and Chris Hankinson 71. Paul.
I don't think King Vonnie Iowa did too bad then, did he? 57. I don't think he played that long, did he? So must have done some good runs there in that. But yeah, I think the stats that you've read out there sort of paint the picture, don't they? I mean, like Parky said, the one that made me sort of jump up then was that completion rate, which everybody seems to rave on about. And it just shows you it's a load of garbage, that it doesn't really matter. You can complete 50% but score 4 tries and win a game, can't you? So whereas another team can complete 100% and play up the bloody jumper. So yeah, you can read what you want into the stats, but I think the meters we've made there and the possession that we've had and the mistakes, the missed tackles and that just show Catalan's dominance, really, don't they? And how big and physical they are.
Yeah, I think with completion rate is how you win the set, really. Yeah. I think the better stat would be positive, negative end to set, Parky. Yeah. That'd give you more of an impression of how you're managing that set of 6, rather than, like Paul said, you drive 5, kick deep, for 80 minutes. You get 100% completion rate, but you don't get anywhere near scoring tries.
Well, that's exactly what we were doing. Certainly in the first half, every time we got the ball, we ended up hardly crossing the halfway line. And then it was a 40, 50-yard kick from Sneedy straight to their full-back or wingers. There was no other option for us. That was all we had. And probably the same in the second half. And like I said, the end of sets in that second half, when we had chances, we just ran down, dead ends all the time. And normally we're really good at that, really good at sort of creating space and giving havoc, certainly out wide to teams. And it just wasn't there. Possibly, again, because maybe we were a little bit drained. Your mind was tired. They're just not switched on to the chances. So, yeah, you're probably right there. The completion rate, the more you have the ball, the better your chances are of winning the game. So if you're not making mistakes, yeah, it does make sense. But like you said, if you are doing Sean McRae tactics, you might hold on to the ball forever, but you're not going to get very far. So, it's an unusual one for it. Just one of them games, wasn't it? It was an off one where we didn't get the results we should have done from our attacking chances.
Yeah. Top tacklers, Paul. Brad Singleton, 33. Callum Watkins, 35. Oliver Parkinson, 46. Shane Wright, 40.
Yeah, good effort, I suppose, in that sort of heat. But we had to do a lot of tackling, didn't we? Because I think possession and territory was all with Catalan, really, with all the chances and whatever they had. So, some big efforts in defence there. But, not a lot to write home about, really, in the other stats. And the biggest stat is your scoreboard, isn't it? So, if you're not posting any points, you're not going to win the game.
Looking at the stats, though, Parky, Shane Wright, third highest meter maker, second highest tackler. Plenty of work from him.
Yeah, he does it. He does it every week. He's coming back to his best form, isn't he? He had a couple of years ago before his injuries. I think we mentioned him at the game. He's tireless. He just keeps going and going. I don't think he quite gets the credit he deserves. And I'd say the same for Stone. I mean, difficult when he's out in the centre. That's just not natural for him, and he's not. I don't know. He's not right playing him out there, but it means he can play more minutes in the season as well. So he's probably good to do. But when you watch him in the second row, I say it all the time. It's players like that you don't notice, who do all the work and a lot of graft. They don't grab the headlines, but without them, you've got nothing. You haven't got a team. But Shane Wright been excellent for us, hasn't he? Since he signed, he's been unlucky, but that again, outstanding effort in that heat. And again, you mentioned Ollie Partington, whose defence, and he's going there next year, obviously. His defence was he just wants to be in everything all the time, and I think sometimes he needs to take a step back a little bit and conserve some of that energy for when we're going forward. I think he probably puts a little bit too much in defence. And one thing I will say is Lewis. I know he's got an head knock now, and I'd said it before the game. I think it's my fault. I really do. His defence, his tackling technique is as good as anything you'll see anywhere. You can tell he's been brought up the right way. If you could teach someone how to tackle, that's how you do it. But when he drives the ball in, and I said it during the week, he puts his knock down and he just runs in. And I said, one day he's going to run into something he's not supposed to. And it looks like he has. He's so keen, so eager to get into the game and everything. And I love that about him. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's been fantastic, but he needs to look after himself a little bit more. Stop being so, carefree about it. It does hurt. He's at Super League level now. It's not, not grade football in Australia. This is big time stuff. And I watched him the other day again. He wants to tackle everyone. He wants to take the ball in constantly, but he's got no self safety awareness, I don't think. But so it'll be a big loss for us this week, by the way. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that his tackling technique is incredible.
Yeah, the two things: one, rugby players are mad as cheese, so they do that from time to time. And two, if Oliver Parton's doing 46 tackles in the south of France every week, he might end up being a winger. The amount of weight he'll lose running around the pitch doing 46 tackles a week. Big thanks for your 3-word man of the matches. David Deacon, too many mistakes. Aaron Moore, the referee. Colin Wilson, on to next Friday. He didn't give us a man of the match. Difficult one, he says. Mark very slow start. Stone. Paul Whiteside's mate, Rowley, not very good. Nobody. Dave Parker didn't show up. Lewis, Graham Jones. We move on. Nobody. Matt wasn't to be. Callum Watkins. Sutkins miss our centres right. Natalie Taylor still very proud. Hankinson. Bondi was expecting this. Craig Haven, a dreadful performance onto Huddersfield. I wouldn't call it dreadful. I just think we just looked a bit tired. Alan Taylor, second half better. And Slim, await fans overreaction. And he also passed on the man of the match award, which I think's a bit, probably saves you a job, Parky. I'm not having to mark one down for this one. I think people like Hankinson and Lewis may be up there now because there's not many people to choose from.
Yeah, he can pick up points quite easily. He's right there, the overreaction of fans. Salford, we seem to have that a lot. We go from we're the best team in the world one week to absolutely, not worth wiping your feet on the next. It's a glitch in the season. Simple as that. We've had a couple. We had one at Lee where the circumstances were against us again with 5-6 forwards missing, and then we lost Ormond Royd early on. I think Buniawa got injured. We were never going to win that game. The Cast game, yeah, I get, we should have won it. We had it won twice and we didn't. We lost it. We managed to throw it away. But we've lost something like 6 games all year. This is Salford I'm talking about. I'd have prayed for this at any point in the last 40 years. I've never seen anything as good. So we have one off week and it wasn't that bad. Both teams were poor on the day, but, if people are thinking that this is terrible and this or whatever, you probably can't have been watching that long because some of the dross that I've watched, I can accept that as a loss. That's 20 points in the south of France. Oh, well, we move on. Let's see how we do on Friday and let's see what the reaction's like then.
Yeah, I agree with Parker. If you're thinking we were bad against Catalan and you're getting upset, I suppose it is my fault really because I like to put the man of the match 3-match reports out about 3 to 5 minutes after the game, so people are heightened. So you do get the extremes, like Parker said, we're the best team in the world, the worst team in the world. But that shows emotion, doesn't it, Paul? So it's one of them. But like Parker said, we've been there. We've been to Catalan loss. Was it 66-6 in the rain in Toulouse? That was a bad day. So 20-0 away from home in the sun isn't too bad.
No, we only conceded 3 tries. I get what you're saying. I think it's probably a society thing now. I mean, we're an expecting society, aren't we? We want everything instant. We want our food instant. We want this instant. We want to take away the Uber Eats, my vapes, my cigs, my whatever. And I think that's how people are, and, I'm a bit more patient. I'm like you guys, watched them a long time. And 66-6, yeah. 82-6 at Hull. 96-16 at Bradford. They're 70-odd at Wigan. God knows how many times. They're the defeats where you sort of come out of the ground after the full-time whistle and think, it makes you, I don't know, it's always made me a bit stronger, I think, defeats like that. I don't start sulking. It's a bit of a badge, really, saying, well, I were there, and it's made me a bit tougher. And I don't know, I got the games now, and yeah, if they get beat, they get beat. I mean, it's part and parcel of it. I'm not going to start moaning about it. So yeah, I don't get that from people sometimes. I mean, sweating the I didn't think it was that bad. Mind you, I wasn't there, was I? So I watched it on the telly on my Todd with my dog, and didn't really get excited because we never looked like scoring. But no, I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. There's a long way to go this season. Like Park said, we've lost 5 league games and a cup game this season. So yeah, we just move on from that now. And yeah, I've seen much worse.
Yeah, talking about that Bradford defeat, 96-16. It's on Bradford's YouTube channel now. I was looking for it. I was looking for the ladies' victory against Bradford. I thought they put it on, but it wasn't. So I was a bit gutted. But yeah, I did watch about 10 minutes of it to ground myself to think, yeah, it was it's not as bad as it once was.
We scored first, Rob, that day.
Yeah,
Jason Nichols scored first, put us 4-0 up. I remember that. But perhaps Bradford are showing that because they're that bad now. They're trying to cheer themselves up.
Maybe. So yeah, so defeat for Rowley's men in the South France, but I'm sure we're looking to bounce back this week. Talking about bouncing back, we'll move on to our ladies. They face Lee. Parker, in the game last week, or the week before last, lost 44-4. Lee, top of the table, dominant display. Salford's only score came from Jardine McVernon. Kind of went over in the corner. I think Emerald Hickey gave her the ball and she went over in the corner to score. Lee are clear at the top. They're a very good side. It's a test. It was a test for our ladies. Mike Grady was looking for a reaction, which he got this week. But we'll probably have to play Lee in the playoffs when we get there. And for me, the pressure will be on Lee because they are head and shoulders with everyone else in the division.
Yeah, we mentioned the week before it was always going to be a tough challenge, but we'd come off a few good results, and I thought that maybe we could have pushed them or made it closer. But I think something like 13-0 at half time or something, game over. But it shows in the second half, a bit like the first team this week. Second half performance must have been better, must have been stronger. But again, we're still developing as a team. And you come up against a team that's been together for a few years, that's strong anyway. It was always going to be a tough challenge, but it's one of those games where I think Lee are far and above everybody else in that league. So you can take them out of it. It's how we do against the other teams in that league that's going to decide where we finish and how high up in the playoffs we get. It'd be nice to. In what I would consider, again, a first season, if you like, because it's, the majority of the squad was decimated and they've rebuilt. So if we can get into the playoffs this year and finish, and make a final, I mean, that's good enough. So they're just learning every week. And that's one of them games where they'll have to look back and think, what do Lee do that's better than what we do? How do they do it? And we'll just learn from it. And again, like you said, we move on another week and you see a different story.
Yeah, Mike Grady wanted a reaction and he got one. We went to Bradford and won 18 points to 0. 2 tries from Alex Simpson, 1 from Olivia Hill and 1 from Megan Hobbin. Paul secured the victory for Grady's ladies.
Yeah, as you said before, it's always nice to nil somebody, but to nil somebody on their own ground is a fantastic effort and just shows a lot of character there. Bouncing back from a defeat the week before, you come back and not panicked. Kept to your system, kept to your processes, as people say, and got the result. So what are you laughing at, Parky? And yeah, so I was chuffed with that. A good win, a real good solid win. That.
Yeah. Another 2 tries from Alex Simpson. Parky won just on half time, made the big difference. We know how good she is at fullback. She's a big game player and she continues to deliver.
Yeah, if we're going to have any sort of success with the ladies team this year, because of the inexperience of a lot of the players, we need our big players to stand up every week. And obviously Alex is one of them. And we know the team revolves around sort of 3 or 4 key individuals that need to perform each week if we're going to have any chance. And coming up with a couple of tries in a tight game is always going to help. And from fullback, because it's the modern way, isn't it, these days, that fullbacks are they chime in and they score plenty more tries than I think they ever used to. They're not just there to stop be the last person in the line. So great response from the girls. And again, they obviously didn't lose heart from getting a bit of a drubbing the week before, and they've gone back out and shown what they can do away from home again. Yeah,
and if I know Mike Grady, he'll be super happy with the 0 as well. Yeah. Paul, he wants to entertain, he wants to score tries, but he does like his defence solid. And for Bradford not to secure a point is a glowing testimony for our ladies' efforts.
Yeah, I think any coach is like that. Coaches and teams pride themselves on defence, don't they? And it's no mean feat that to keep a team out for 80 minutes, and no matter what level of rugby league you're playing. So he'd be really pleased with that. You've got to get that defence right, that defensive structure right, and away from home as well against a decent Bradford side. I was surprised at that. I thought it was a great result, and that's something now to kick on from and build on in this back end of the season.
Yeah. So Parky, we're 3rd in the table, 2 points behind Sheffield in 2nd, but 2 points ahead of Alton in 5th. So it's still in the mix for who finishes in the playoff spot. Like Rowley's men, keep winning and then let the results look after themselves.
Yeah, and we've improved massively as the season's gone on. You know, remarkable really in such a short space of time how the team have sort of blended. And I know midway through we got a few new players in, which obviously helped because we had a lack of squad depth as well. A bit like the men's team, it's the same sort of scenario. But they've seemed to have mixed really quickly and they're getting results. And if we can finish third or fourth in this season, where, like I've said, I say it every week, that it's like starting from scratch for them. It'll be a massive achievement, and then we can build from there again next year. Hopefully, a few more players come in, a little bit more experienced. The girls we have now will be more experienced. It can only be a positive. And like Paul said, going away to Bradford, which was always going to be a bit of a challenge, and nailing him, he's fantastic. The confidence we'll have got from that, hopefully now, again, sets us up for the rest of the season. But we take the league game out of it. We've been on a good run anyway. So I think we're just improving gradually as the season goes on.
Yeah. So let's move on to our reserves. Stuart Wilkinson's reserves went to Leeds, went down to defeat 22 points to 12. Paul, we all know what Leeds development's like. Got some good players, and our boys fought them all the way.
Yeah, we know what Leeds are like. Know what they're always after our people, aren't they? Our players. But, yeah, no, they're an institution, aren't they? At Leeds, they've got like a very good youth set up there, haven't they? And what have you? But I think you look at that result. I think it just shows you how far our reserves have come this season. Because it took us a while to get going, didn't it? But there's some good players in there now, and you're going to talk about. Two of them have just signed their first professional contracts in the news. I won't steal your thunder there, but I think that's testament to everybody involved in the reserves, and Stuart Wilkinson doing a good job there and getting these players playing together and building a team as well, because they really have built the team. They've got a real solid team. They're playing well, and it's very exciting for the club. Particularly next season, is getting an academy as well and a pathway there as well. So yeah, I was pleased with that result and the performance.
Yeah, Leeds opened the scoring. Parky, one of our old boys, Lewis Roberts, went over in the corner. Josh Gallup made it 10-0 to Leeds, but then our scrum half, Tyler, went over to make it 10-4, kind of jinked through to score. And then our second row, McCurry, big run from him at a good angle, and Salford led 12-10.
Yeah, I really like the look of that McCurry. I think he's got quite a future on him. He's impressed me every time I've seen him play. He's a decent lad. I think the thing is for our reserves is it chop and change every week, don't we? Because we have such a small first team squad, they get moved in. You look at Leeds. I mean, like I said, Lewis Roberts, how many Super League games has he played this year? Just drops down to Leeds reserves. Just it's fine. They can do that. They've got enough players. They give us Kai Morgan, at the end of last season, and what a player he is. So how good is their academy in their reserves? And again, the thing is with like Morgan, he loaned out to Swinton, and then next minute he's back with the team. When you're training during the week and you haven't got a player, and then all of a sudden he's there for game day, it changes everything. So it's very difficult at the moment for the lads to get any momentum going. But going away to Headingley, going away anywhere at the moment, but certainly to Headingley, it's always a graveyard for us, isn't it? So it looks like a really good result. And the way we fought back into the game to take the lead is, again, testament to the boys' attitude. Because a lot of these lads they're inexperienced, certainly at this level against some of the players they're coming up against. And Leeds, renowned for their reserves and academy, we look what they've done over the last 20, 30 years with players. So there's absolutely no disgrace there in the result, and to just stay in the game. I mean, I think at one point that when you mentioned when it went 10-0 to Leeds, I thought this could be a bit of a massacre, really. But no, they hung in there and kept going.
Yeah. Second half was a bit tougher. Couple of sin bins. Leeds kind of cranked the pressure, scored 2 late tries, and unfortunately went down to defeat 22 points to 12. Paul, but like you say, like Parky says, the boys are learning all the time. They're testing themselves, and it's only going to be good going forward.
Yeah, they're improving all the time, and just like Pag said, they nailed it really. The experience of the players we've got, we've got a lot of new lads in there who are really new to that level of rugby league, really. So it does take time to get to. Like you said, there you've got players like Lewis Roberts, who's a seasoned professional now. He's not just played at Leeds; he's played at Salford. He was at Lee as well, and was in their first team. So you're playing against lads there who are experienced, they know the big league and what have you. So I've been impressed with the progress that the reserves have made this season, and that's what it's all about: making progress and getting these lads ready to be able to play first team rugby and step up and play in our first team. So that's what it's all about. That's what we want. We're not just reserves for reserve's sake. It's reserves to get you into that first team. So yeah, I mean, it's a shame we've not got a bigger squad. I mean, a lot of teams will have a squad where they can put first team players in when they're coming back from injury and play them in the reserves. We don't really have that luxury because if you fit at Salford, you're in the first team because the squad's that small. So in testament to the lads, a lot of young lads there who are cutting their teeth and they're doing really well.
Yeah, so that's a look back at all the matches over the last couple of weeks, and now we'll see what's happening in the world of Red Hills. So we'll start with Paul Rowley, awarded Coach of the Month for June. Parky, working miracles on a tight budget. Well-deserved accolade from me. Congratulations from everyone on the podcast. Paul, if you're listening, what can we say about Paul Rowley, Paul?
Well, I mean, I'll start off. The man's obviously a bit of a genius when it comes to rugby league. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But what he's done with this squad and limited resources and fighting against the tide every single week, trying to get players on the park. That we said before about their attitude, about the never say die, and the fact that they think they can beat anybody. That comes from the head coach. That belief comes from him because he believes it. He wouldn't be here if he didn't think that there was a chance of that. So I did say when he got the award, it's a curse. And as it proved, we went and lost the next game. It generally is. That's how it works in football all the time, isn't it? So, but yeah, no, I mean, the run of results we've been on, he deserved it. You go away to Warrington, you win, you beat Saints. We'd had a really good run. And it surprised it was the first time he'd won it this year because he does an unbelievable job. I mean, I like a lot of coaches in the league. I like Matty Pete at Wigan. I think he's a fantastic coach. Like Willie Peters at Hull KR, what he's doing. But you look at what they've got to work with, the resource that they've got behind them, that the money, the players, and everything else. And you look what Paul Rowley does. Realistically, and I said it in December. I was worried. I thought we'd be a bottom three side looking at our squad. Yeah, we had a couple of recruits coming after that, and but he can perform miracles. He really can. He's made us look like what is a top six team, and a team that if we do get everyone fit and we do make the playoffs, you wouldn't want to face. No one would look forward to playing us because we do unpredictable things, quite predictably these days. If that makes any sense. But I mean, the guy's brilliant, and we all know, we all spoke to him. What a genuinely nice fella he is, and he's love of rugby league. So. I know we're all fearful every day that some news will break that something nasty's going on or something, but I strongly believe and I strongly hope that Paul Rowley's future is with us because with him we're in very, very safe hands.
Yeah. Paul currently running at 51.9% win ratio, played 77, won 40, lost 37. To give you an idea, Watto was 165 games played, 81 wins, 84, and he was on 49.1.
Yeah, well, I think you answered your own question. I think two good coaches, Watto and Paul Rowley. I think they both done a good job for Salford, and Rowley's sort of carried on. I think when Watson left and Richard Marshall came in, I thought it was difficult. It was difficult times, COVID and all that business. So I think it'd be a bit unfair to judge Richard Marshall. I thought he was all right, good rugby league bloke. Perhaps he's better as a number two. Paul Rowley, he's played rugby league since he was 5-year-old. I think he said, didn't he? And his dad played for Lee Allen Rowley as well. So he's come from a rugby league background. And one thing I've got from Paul Rowley is he's, like you said there, the belief in the players. He's not frightened of anybody. He's not frightened of another team. Whereas other coaches, other clubs might get a bit overawed about going to some place. He believes in himself and he'll put that belief into a team that we're not going there to make the numbers, and we're not going to Leeds and being scared of these because we can beat them. And it's, I'm not saying it's small man syndrome that he's got, but it's a bit like that. You know, where you're not frightened of the big giant, you're not frightened of the big man. You'll take him on and you'll go for him. And I like that about him. It's like a sort of terrier mentality that he's got. And you can't sort of coax that into players. He'll have that and it'll come off on you. And just talking about Matty Peake there, he said, one thing that made me chuckle the other week was we were waiting outside the changing rooms, and how many staff have Wigan got? Yeah. They've got about 20, 25 people there. Paul Rowley's looking, he's got half a dozen. And yet he's doing this like that. So, no, it's the belief I think he puts into the players and that sort of fear, I think, you know, that you can do anything. And, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, pure rugby league man, innit? Building something at Salford. And that's the important thing for me. He has an opportunity to create something. You could go to somewhere like Wigan or Leeds and you could be successful, but you're just going to be another nudge, another knot on that successful timeline, aren't you? At Salford, you have an opportunity to create greatness. And does that drive him? Is that what he wants to be remembered as, being somebody who changed a club and then indirectly changed the city as well? And that's where we're going. The players believe in him, the crowd believe in him, we believe in him. So, you know, it's a wonderful thing, Parky. You know, he's got everything that he wants. We're hoping, obviously, all the things behind the scenes fall into place, and then I'm sure he'll be more comfortable with what's going on, because it must be heartbreaking for him that he builds the team and then he has to dismantle it every season and then rebuild it again.
Yeah, I think this is why I think Paul Rowley suits Salford and Salford suit Paul Rowley. Paul's just outlined it perfectly there. He's got that mentality. He loves this backs to the wall stuff. He loves being told he can't do things. Salford can't finish in the top 6. You listen to like John Wilkin at the start of the year, this and the other. Paul Rowley would have sat at home with a big grin on his face, rubbing his hands together, going, "Well, watch me do it." And that's why he loves it. And we're the underdog every week. Doesn't matter who we play. We're always that. And he loves that. And yes, he probably would love to be, you know, being able to go out and sign NRL stars or whatever else to make his life easier. But I think Paul Rowley, with a couple of assurances and an extra 2 or 3 players in his squad, will be perfectly happy with what he's got. And he knows what he can make out of that. And he does. He suits Salford. He suits the city. And he suits the, you know, the mentality we've got. And he's right again there, Paul, that when we go up against the big boys, in the past, I even think players and coaches have gone, "Oh, we've got Leeds away this week. Well, you know, doesn't matter." Paul Rowley goes there thinking, and I'm coming away with 2 points. They're my 2 points, and I'm having them. And he isn't scared of anyone or any team. And that's an unbelievable attitude to have. And he puts that in the players. And that's why we are getting over the line in these games by 2-4 points. Because he's just got that mentality that you won't beat us, you won't get over the top. And I said it at the start of the year, there's one thing that this team will have. We will lose games. We might get a thumping along the way. But they'll never stop trying. Because he won't let them do that. They won't lose heart. And that's all through Paul Rowley. And Kurt Haggerty, I've got to mention him, and obviously Anu, but it comes from the top, that mentality. And every great club and every club who's had success has that. And it's, you know, hopefully it's a DNA that he can keep with us and keep in the club going forward.
And hopefully, Paul, one day he'll share them post-match biscuits with you.
Yeah, well, he said something to me the other week at Warrington, and I'm not going to say word for word what he said because it'd be unfair for me to say that. But after we'd won the game, he had a real grin on his face, and he said, "I love coming to grounds like this and doing this." And I'm not going to go any further, but to me, that just, you know what I'm going to say. What you can imagine what he said, and because I think a lot of clubs, you know, they believe their own hype, don't they? Whereas Paul Rowley wants to knock him off the perch. He loves proving people wrong. And I think Paul Rowley's proud of Salford, and he's proud of the players, and he's proud of the supporters and what this club means. And he wants to be part of that and lead that club. And I think, yeah, you can go to Leeds and Wigan and have loads and loads of money, but do you then sit at home and think, wow, what have I achieved? I think you'd achieve more with a club like Salford, don't you? Because you are doing the impossible, really. I mean, anybody can go to Wigan and spend loads of money, and I'm not saying Matty Peake's not doing a good job, but it's harder to go to somewhere like Salford and do it. And I think, you want to test yourself, don't you? And I think that's what Paul Rowley does. So yeah, I think he's done a great job since he's come in, and he's carried on the good work that Ian Watson did. Because when you think before that, we were sort of the rubbing rags really in Super League, weren't we? And I think once Jesse Harris left and Watto came in, I thought he sort of put a bit of steel back into Salford and made people respect us a bit more. And Paul Rowley's carried that on. Whereas people will probably look at us now and think, yeah, we're all right then, they're a decent team. Whereas 20, 30 years ago, we were rubbish, weren't we? And people knew that we had a soft underbelly and teams would turn us over. So I think we've got that bit of steel and that bit of respect now off other clubs.
Yeah. Other big news, hailed as our new head of youth. He will oversee the Elite Academy. He's the head of the Reds programme as well. So he's come from within the club. Good luck to him. I'm sure he's going to be fantastic. Obviously, the new Elite Academy on its way. Exciting times for him and the club.
Yeah. I didn't make the meeting last Monday. Obviously, I had other things going on. But from what I've seen of the clips that were, put out by the club, there was a lot of candidates out there, a lot of really, really good candidates for the job who had applied and wanted it, and we've gone with Mark, and that shows that he must have the credentials. I believe the RFL were involved as well in the actual, sort of vetting of these people. So he must have some CV on him and some great ideas. So the future looks really bright. I mean, we're all absolutely delighted that we're getting the academy back. That's the first step now of the future of the club, and you need somebody good at the top of it to bring them players through. You look at what's gone on at other clubs. We mentioned Leeds before with their youth, Wigan, Saints, the way they brought players through. If we can start doing that, I think Warrington are starting to do it now. If we can start doing that, then the future's going to look really, really bright.
Yep. Paul, local coach. He knows where the players are. He knows the players in our system at the moment. Great choice for me. Exciting times. We know, the Elite Academy isn't a quick fix. It will take a while before we're able to get the talent out into a first team. But he knows that. But he knows who's in the system, and he knows, hopefully, how to push them on to great things.
I don't know a lot about him, to be honest with you. But I'm sure he's got the credentials. It looks like he's a good guy from the interviews, what we've seen. I didn't make the meeting either, but it's exciting times, and yeah, I'm sure he's going to do a good job. And it's so exciting to have that academy coming back, and I can't wait really for that, and just to see the young players getting involved, and the world's your oyster. You've got the academy, a reserve team, a pathway. That's what we've been crying out for, haven't we, since it was taken away so stupidly. But yeah, that's just what we need, and I wish him all the best in the job, and I'm sure he'll do a great job.
Talking about pathways, someone who's come through that pathway is Nathan Connell. Signed his first professional contract at Salford this week, from Cheverton Sharks to Salford. A good sign, Parker, that we've got players who, given the right training and are able to grow, can reach the top level.
Yeah, and natural talent and hard work is what's got him to this point, and he's fully deserved. I've watched him in the reserves quite a lot, and he's an exceptional player. Really is a good player. I think he was one of them guys that probably missed out on other clubs. Growing up, he probably had a chance, but was overlooked or maybe not looked at in the right way. And some players do develop slightly later or in a different way and need a different environment, and he clearly did. And he's been exceptional, so he deserves his chance. I know he got a few minutes against, was it London, a few weeks back, but I think that's the start of quite a few. He's very versatile as well, which is going to help his career a little bit. Possibly, a player that we brought through who the same sort of attributes as someone like Ratchford, who could play, in 5-6 positions if you want. I think he's got a lot of that about him, Nathan. Hopefully, under Paul Rowley and Kurt Haggerty, he can carry on learning, get a little bit more game time. And hopefully, if we can get ourselves fixed in the top 6 before the end of the season, you can get a run out of some of these big games, these big grounds, going away to Wigan or somewhere like that, and have a run out and see what it's all about. Get that experience in him. Let's test him and see how good he is. But brilliant for him. Delighted. And hopefully it's the first of many players coming through now in the next few years that they'll get the chance, because there's a lot of talent in that reserve team at the moment.
Yeah, another player who took the opportunity is Jamie Pye, signed his for first professional contract. Paul played for the reserves this week as well. Big lad, forward. The world's his oyster, could be anything.
He is a big lad. He's the big lad that we see coming out the change rooms every week. Yeah. We weren't too sure who it was. Who's that? Because we've seen, I'd seen pictures of him. When Steve puts the pictures out from training, I'd seen him on the pictures a few times. I was wondering who he was, but he's about 6'5", isn't he? He's a similar height to me, but twice as wide as me, and twice as heavy probably. But no, he looks the part, and he's playing well in the reserves. And I know the club are very, very excited about him, aren't they? So, and Nathan Connell. I think he's looked really good when he's been involved. So yeah, delighted they both got the first contracts. And I think it's great that we've got these young players in around the club. I mean, just speaking of young players, Logan Lewis, we've just been talking about before, he's another young kid. And, he's only, 20, 21, something like that. So I think, yeah, we've got players now with a point to prove. And, who want to get involved. And if we've got that pathway as well to bring them through and develop our own. So all right, bringing players from other clubs where they've come through that system. But to develop players as your own, like we've done in the past, like at higher levels and things like that, I think you just get that bit more loyalty from the players, don't they? Because they've been at Salford since a young age and they come through your system.
Yeah. We've also announced a loan signing today, Parky. Joe Bullock has signed from Warrington till the end of the season. Experienced forward, played for Warrington. From what I've seen of Warrington, he's a strong runner as well. Looking at the stats, this season stats, made over 100 metres a couple of times for Warrington. Averages around about 60-70, which is going to be, very good and much needed for our pack.
I think if we can keep him injury free, I think he's going to be a massive plus for the team. We knew all along, we've known all year we've been short on prop forwards. We lost Jack, which was a huge blow because he was banging form at the time, and we don't have the chance to rotate our forwards, and they're going to get tired. They're getting bashed every week. It's very, very difficult to keep doing. So he's a welcome lift to the team. He's a big lad. Like I say, he's got a lot of experience. Good player. He's been around. He'll know what to do, and hopefully there's a chance that maybe he could be playing for a contract. Who knows? You get that a lot, don't you? Players who you got half a season now to show us what you can do. If you're good enough, and Warrington are not going to renew your contract or whatever, there's a chance to come here. You say it all the time, Rob. Opportunity club. Well, he's not been getting time at Warrington, so. Here you go, take your shirt and have a go. I think it's a big boost, timely and all, because like I say, on Saturday, some of the lads looked a little bit weary. And again, we played in that heat on Saturday, short turnaround after flying home. You play on the Friday night, you need fresh bodies. So hopefully he can come in and get, hit the ground running. But I think it's a really good move.
Transfer deadline day is, I think it's the 2nd of August, Paul. Do we think we'll go in for another player, or does Paul Rowley go with what he's got?
I think if there's money available and there's a player available, I think you'd be foolish not to go for somebody else. But I think Joe Bullock's a good signing, and if he impresses and we can hold on to him for next season, then why not? Because I think he's a powerful player. He's an experienced player. He's been around a long time, and he's probably one of those players now that wants to find a home. Because he's done a lot of travelling about. He was at Barrow for a number of years. I know he played 100 odd games for them and come back. I think he started at Wigan, then he came back to Wigan and Warrington as well. So yeah, if he impresses, I'd be looking into him. I know he's about 31, 32, but big, powerful lad. But no, like you said, if there's somebody comes available now, then why not? We're low on numbers, aren't we? So I'd definitely see if we can get someone on loan or whatever.
Thoughts on that, Parky? Obviously, looking back to last season, fatigue got us in the end. We lost bodies. Obviously, money is tight. Can we right or wrong from last season and maybe push for one more if the juice is there?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. Obviously, the money. He's got to be the right player, the right position, and knowing Paul Rowley, he's got to be the right character. He don't want just any Joe coming into his squad. You know what I mean? He needs to know that he can rely on them, that they're trustworthy, that they're not going to cause any issues, away from the pitch. And if they're not actually a Salford player, they're only here on loan or whatever. Yeah, are they that bothered? That kind of. He's got to get all that right. It's a tough one in a short space of time. Money being the big thing, but for me, yes, because again, like I've mentioned, these new rules where you're going to have to rest players. Sneady's going to have to come out of the team at some point. Probably, Dion Cross maybe. People like who played big minutes all year. Sam Stone. We're gonna, so we're gonna need bodies, and unless we get a few back from injury as well, it's going to be tough. So, yeah, I'd love to see at least another one come in if we can. I think there's a few positions we could look at, but again, it depends on the player who's available and all the other criteria that are going to go around it. But I think if we can, I think we'd be crazy not to, because like you said, last season we just ran out of juice at the end. The last couple of games we had nothing to give really, and it cost us a playoff spot. So yeah, I think if we can get in the playoffs, I mean, if we can make the grand final, the money that generates will kind of worth the risk now, if you know what I mean. But what you don't want to do is put your money into somebody who's just going to let you down and offer you nothing. So it's a tough one. Like you see in football, people go out in January and panic buying because they've got a window, they need to sign somebody. Make sure you do your own work first and get the right man.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when transfer deadline comes nearer. Final bit of news is an event that's taking place at the Dog and Partridge Parquet. Steve Gibson, one of your heroes, is returning for the questions and answers in the Dog. Wednesday, the 24th of July, 7:30 start. He's joined by Martin Burkett and Shane Hanson. And there's also going to be a raffle. It's going to be exciting.
Yes, I believe that yours truly is hosting, if you like. Terrified now. Yeah, no, listen, I had a conversation with a friend on Sunday night, and I said, people of a certain generation, certain age, you ask them to name a Salford player, it would either be Tex Evans or Gibbo. Simple as that. The man is an absolute legend, and I mean that in this every sense of the word. The guy himself, a lovelier man you're probably unlikely to meet, funnier man, but as a rugby player as well, unconventional. You wouldn't teach anyone to play the way he played, but he was effective. He could score a try. He was elusive as a runner. His defence was tight. Great signing for us, and the story of him. I probably won't go into it. Actually, I might save it for next week. But yeah, he's a funny guy, and what I will say is he was while he was over here, we lived near the ground, and obviously my mum's connection and so on. He used to come around to our house for a brew, and he'd sit there and talk to me dad and whatever else. He was a carpenter by trade, and he fixed our back door. Well, he put a new one on for us, which was nice while he was still a player. Brilliant. So the other week, it was my mum's birthday. So I messaged him and I asked him if he'd do a little, note for my mum to say happy birthday. And he did, as he would. And it was, to see my mum's face, she was more pleased to hear his voice than any of ours, of the family. Because he's that kind of guy. He had that influence on people, that hold. He's a great, great bloke. And I'm sure next week will be fascinating listening to him. Him, Martin, and Shane, three amigos, will have some stories about each other, I'm sure. Some of them we probably won't get to broadcast on a podcast, but they were, brilliant. And that time we had a team of a bit like what we've got now, in a way. And if we'd have had a little bit more money behind us, we'd have gone on again. A real bonded team, and he was the key part of that. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, and I can't wait to see him next week.
Yeah, going to be a fantastic night full of nostalgia. Like you say, Martin Burkett there as well, Shane Hanson, Parky with his fantastic questions. Me and you, Paul, just going to sit in the back and chill.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Steve Gibson again. Though he
yourselves down to the Dog and Partridge and see heroes from yesteryear telling us stories and good tales about their times at Salford. So let's move on to this week's games. So we'll start with our ladies. They're in action at home to Stanley on Sunday. Paul, obviously, we've had a good win last week against Bradford. I'm sure they're looking to go again.
Yeah, look, this is another one of those stepping stones. I think Stanningley, they've been around for a while, haven't they? We've had a couple of battles with them over recent years, but it's important just to get keep this momentum going now. Like I said, we've been building week on week, and as I said before, you take the league game out of it, we've been on a good run, been playing some really good rugby. So fingers crossed it can be hopefully the conditions are okay. I think it'd be nice a bit of playing some sunshine for the girls at some point. But it's another key game. We can win this. I don't know how. What are we a couple of points behind Sheffield? Is that all it is? Who knows? If we can get over the top of them and finishing it, in the top two positions this season, that's an incredible effort from the girls. So it is a big game. What we don't want to do is start going win loss. That's not going to do us any favours. So just keep building. A great win last week away from home, nailing a team. So they should be full of confidence. And fingers crossed we can get the 2 this week again.
Yeah. Paul, 3rd v 8th. Stanley lost 4 on the spin. We've won 4, lost 1. So we are the team in form. But like Parky says, sometimes you come across teams that make you think and make you work hard. And hopefully, I'm sure Mike Grady's ladies will be up for that challenge.
Yeah, it certainly will. And talking about the game last week, as we mentioned before, 18-0 away to Bradford is going to boost everybody's confidence, isn't it? So this is another big game now, and it should be a close one. They've had some close contests with Stanley before, haven't they? So but you get the feeling it's a bit of a 4-pointer this one as well, isn't it? You're coming towards that stage of the season now, so let's hope they can get over the line and get 2 points.
Yeah. So let's move on to the game against Huddersfield for Paul Rowley's men on Friday. Will be a tough place to go. We played well last time we were in Huddersfield, secured a good win there. Obviously, Ian Watson relieved of his duties last week. May be a factor. Will we wanting to continue this, good period and get back to winning ways, Parker?
Yeah, losing a manager can have an effect either way, can't it? Sometimes it gives players a boost. Some players who maybe didn't get on or whatever, or certain players who weren't getting in his team may get a chance under a temporary coach. I think he's Robbo at the moment, isn't it? Luke Robinson. It's a good place for us to go. I think we've won, 10 out of the last 11 there or something crazy like that. We've got a great record. We need bodies. It's going to be it will be tough because I think I didn't see the game against Lee. Obviously, I was away at the time, but I'm led to believe they had a much better performance than they've had in recent weeks. So again, is it giving them a bit of a boost? Are they or have they said let's do it for Watto? Have they said look, it's our fault. He's got he's had to go. We owe him something. Let's he's still his team, but I think obviously Luke Yates has left them this week, hasn't he? He's gone immediately to Warrington, so that's a huge blow when your club captain, and probably their most consistent player, he moves off. We know what Luke's like. We had him here obviously for a season, so that's going to be a blow for them. Someone's going to have to fill that, but I'm sure they've got a big squad at Huddersfield. They've got a lot of really good, experienced players, so it's going to be tough. I know last time we got to a flyer, didn't we? And then it was sort of squeaky bum right near the end. I think a missed conversion cost them in the end. I think if we had lost that game, it would have been unfair. We'd been better than them for 70 minutes, but the game's 80 minutes and it doesn't really matter until that hooter goes. It is going to be tough. Like I say, we had a bit of travelling, played in the heat last week. We've lost Lewis this week, but we brought Bullock in, so hopefully that can balance that out. If we can get McDonald back at least, I'd love to see Lafayette, but I think he's got a few more weeks out, hasn't he? But get one of them back in there, and try and play players in their natural position, or get Stoney back in the back row, and McDonald out there. It'll certainly help the balance of the side. But there'll be a lot of talking going on this week with the lads. They'll know how blunt we were maybe in attack last week. So we've got a point to prove. And like we said before, these are the big games now. These are the key games. If we're going to be a playoff team, which generally we have been recently, or there or thereabouts in the last 4 or 5 years, then these are the games you go and win. And it'll show, again, our credentials for being a top 6 side. So it's a big game, really is. And I think it'll be tight.
Yeah, both sides coming off a short turnaround. Paul, we're doing this recording on Tuesday, so we don't know squad details yet about Tim Laffine and McDonald, whether they're available or not. You'll obviously have hopefully new faces coming in. So interesting to see what happens and what kind of side Paul Rowley can put together.
I wouldn't have thought Tim Laffey and then McDonald would be bad, especially not Tim Laffey anyway, from what Rowley said the other week. I think it was 6 weeks, wasn't it? But you never know, dear. They might have made progress. Huddersfield, I think, have got a lot of injuries, haven't they? I know Luke Yates is gone. Sam Hewitt got suspended. Andre Savelio got suspended because he got sent off at the weekend against Lee. I thought they played pretty well in that game against Lee. I saw that on Saturday afternoon, and they dug in there, and Lee just about edged it in there. I thought they were the better side, but Huddersfield definitely improved. I saw it the week before against Warrington, and they were absolutely hopeless. I watched Ian Watson's press conference after the game, and felt a bit sorry for him. Really, he was at a loss. Really, I've never seen a manager like that for a long time, and I think players have let him down a bit, really, haven't they? I think they need a response, especially at home in front of their supporters. That Ken Davies, it seems a good chairman, doesn't he? He's put a lot of money into them, and I think they owe him something. So you can expect they're going to be smart and they're going to come out all guns blazing, aren't they? But no, I'm expecting us to do well. Whatever squad we've got out, I think we've won. Like Parky said, I think he's 11 out of the last 12 there. So or 10 out of the last 11. So it's a good record, and I'm hoping we get the result.
Prediction time, Parky, thoughts?
Yeah, tough one. I just want to say on McDonald, if there is, I think there was talk that he might have got in last week, and obviously he didn't travel, from what I believe. I think somebody mentioned to me, and it made perfect sense that even if he was at 90% there and he could have played, the travelling alone, being on a plane and that kind of thing, you have got some kind of muscle injury. There's an issue there that you can get a blockage or whatever. It can make it worse. So maybe leave him at home and let him rest an extra week, bit more physio, and hopefully get him back this week. I think I think we can beat them. I really do. I think we'll bounce back a little bit. We weren't great against Hull. We know that it was a tough game, and last week was just not our day. But I think. I think we can beat. I'm going to say it's going to be close. So, I think I'll go with Huddersfield 14, Salford 18.
14-18. Paul, what's your prediction for the game against Huddersfield?
The bookies will give Huddersfield a 2-point start, and the bookies are all they bang on. So I'm going to say it's going to be a close game again. I know we won by 2 last time, didn't we? So what am I say? I think 22-16 to Salford.
16-22.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking that new coach bounce was last week for them. So at home, obviously lost to Catalan last week, looking to get back on the winning horse. So I'm going for Huddersfield 10, Salford 36. 36-10, and Ethan Ryan scores 3. Parker.
Perfectly fine for me. He can score as many as he wants. I mean, there's no. The thing is with us, we haven't done it all year. We haven't really torn anyone apart or anything, and it will depend on who's available. I think I just feel it'll be close. I really do. I think Huddersfield have been embarrassed by themselves this year. And going off, I'm going back to what Paul said about Watto's press conference. I do see what he's saying. I did disagree with what he said though, Watson, in the way that he went about it. He kind of threw his players under the bus a little bit, which is never. If you're still in a job, that's not the best way to do it. And he signed them players. I think he signed a total of 40 players in his time at Huddersfield. That's a lot of players. And then he came out with a statement that they don't have a George Williams. Well, that's not anybody else's fault. You spent marquee signing money on Jake Connor instead. An absolute a wonderful player on his day, but an absolute barm cake of a man. So you've got to look at the character. Paul Rowley doesn't do that. Paul Rowley doesn't sign crackpots, and that's where I think Watto went wrong a little bit. I think he signed players that were available because he could, not because he needed them or they suited his style of play. I feel for Watto in that way. Where does he go from here? It's going to be very tough. When he left Salford, his career was going way up. He was, going to be the next England manager, this, that, and the other. And now he's, he finds himself out of work. But I think the Huddersfield players, I agree with Paul that they need to have a look at themselves because they didn't perform for him. Whether it was they didn't like his style or whatever, none of them came out and said anything. So it's they've gone along with it and took the money every week. So it'll be tough because they'll need to bounce back. They were expected to finish in the top 6 this year, no problem. Huddersfield with what they'd signed and everything else, and now the bottom 4 as it stands. And that's just not good enough. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. So that's the end of another show. Paul, another fantastic show talking all things Salford Red Devils. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, certainly good to be back on, lads. And I'm looking forward to the game on Friday night. Don't forget, it kicks off at 7:45 as well. They've just said today, haven't they, it's 15 minutes earlier, so don't be on the last minute going up there. But no, I'm looking forward to that. It should be a good game, and I'm expecting Huddersfield to come out and throw the kitchen sink like they always do. But we do well there, don't we? So it's a big game, really big game. I think we beat Huddersfield. It puts them out of the playoff picture, doesn't it? I mean, it's too big a mountain for them to climb if we win it. So yeah, massive game. Looking forward to it. And good to speak to you two lads as well.
Yeah, great to have you back on the show, Paul. We've missed you terrible. I know we've got to keep the economy going, but you also got the podcast going as well.
Well, I did Roy Ellaby's boiler last week, actually, as well. I got an SOS phone call from him on Sunday. He couldn't go to the Hull game because he had to wait in for the man from his boiler company, and I think they let him down in the end. So went to Screwfix, got his part for him, sorted him out on the Tuesday. So he was back up and running now. He's on his holidays now in Cornwall. So I'll see you in a few weeks, Roy, at the hopefully at the Cast game. He'll be back behind me again with his dulcet tones. But he's a good one, Roy. So yeah.
That is why Paul Whiteside is everybody's favourite. Moments like that is why. Another great show, Parker. Obviously, you've been back in Blighty a couple of days, pining for that sun back in Lorette de Mar.
Yeah, well, just over 24 hours now, and it seems a long time ago. I just want to mention for the guys who are listening who were out there. I said before, there's a lot of stories out there, but just a few words of face slapping, noddies round, and Foden the cat. That's all I can say. But a wonderful time, great fans, great people I was with. They looked after me, by the way. We all know that my lamps don't work particularly well, a bit like the rest of me really. But I was well looked after by everybody who was there. So great time. And thanks to Catalan as well for their hospitality on the day. A really good club, and a sort of bit of a festival when you get there. It's great to see. So yeah, great trip. Great to be back though. I thought I'd pack the sun with me, but I must have left it on the plane. So, but yeah, I'll look forward to Friday now, and it's been great talking to you two again.
Brilliant. So big thanks for joining us on this Devil in the Detail. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on X at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and rubberleague.com. Good luck, Reds. We'll see you on the other side.